I wanted to go through the electrical box from the viewpoint of a homeowner, not an electrician or not even a home inspector. Just the basics of what it is, how to feel comfortable around it, what you can and can't do. So I'm not going to take the cover off. I'm just going to pretend I'm a regular homeowner and I'm going to open the box up. But first things first, there should be a cover, there should be a door, and it should be attached with some screws. If you don't have this, call an electrician. You need to get this installed as a safety feature. You shouldn't be open. You should not have an open panel where you could put your hands in, because that's definitely a safety issue. This is the open. It's just a little switch. You just pop it open. They're all different. Unfortunately, a lot of these boxes, the configuration inside is different, but the basics are all here. So you should somewhere have a listing of all the breakers. They're numbered. In this case, these are the odds on this side, the evens on this side. And they're all, so, 1 and 3 is the dryer. The water pump is 5 and 7. Over here, you can see the numbers correspond. So there's a 1, there's a 3, there's the 5 and the 7. So the evens are on this side, the odds are on, the odds are on this side, the evens are on this side. You can see right on the breaker, it lists, it says off, on. These are flipped around, so this is off, on, okay? So this tells you this is on, this is on. It also means that you can throw this off. There's no problem for you if there was an issue. Oh, this is nice. Look, they've got it labeled with the range. So not only is it labeled over here, it's also labeled on the breaker. That's not always the case. This is a 40 amp breaker. That's what the 40 means. It's tied together so that if there was an issue with the range and you needed to throw it, I'm going to throw it, I can kill power to that receptacle upstairs that runs the range, and both are off. Okay, so both breakers are thrown. I can't just throw this one and leave this hot. So if someone touched that, they could still get electrocuted. In this case, the entire receptacle is dead. Whatever's wrong gets fixed. I can come down, throw it back on. Now I have power back to my range. Okay. This is the main. Actually says main. This is a 200 amp service, so it says 200 right there. I can kill the power to the entire house. I'm not really sure why you would need to do this, but, I guess if in doubt, if you didn't have this labeled and you didn't know which breaker ran which circuit, which ran the certain outlet or receptacle in the house, you could kill the entire house. If you were working on something upstairs, an outlet, you're going to replace it. You got, you wanted white and you got bone, you didn't know which breaker to shut off, you could theoretically shut the entire power off to the house, replace that outlet or that receptacle, and then turn the house back on. So that's what that's for. That kills the entire house. Down below, you'll see some other breakers that have a little button on them. So we'll go to this one. So these say right on them, in this case, ground fault, arc fault. These are designed, you'll see these in wet areas, so bathrooms, kitchens. Arc fault is new code. Depending on where you live, you'll see that in bedrooms. And there's a little button here. That's the test button, okay? So as a homeowner, you should feel comfortable, and you should come down, I think at least quarterly, but I think they recommend monthly, and test this. You push this test button to see if this breaker is actually functioning properly. So I'm going to do it. I'm going to push this button, and this should pop. And it did, which is good. That means the breaker's working properly. Now I'm going to reset it, push it all the way to the left, in this case, and slap it back to the right. The light should go off here, and it did. So now I've reset that breaker, but I know this breaker is functioning properly. So this is number 9. Looks like that feeds the bathroom. So if there was an issue in the bathroom, generally it's water with electricity, so like a hairdryer or something falls in a sink, I know that this will pop, kill the current to that receptacle upstairs, and no one's going to get electrocuted, okay? And you'll see there's a couple others. So you would come down as a homeowner and test all of these. quarterly to make sure they work. If you push that button and nothing happened, it didn't pop off, then you'd want to call an electrician, have them come out and get that replaced. And these are safety features designed, they must work. So it's very important you understand that. The other thing about this panel, you'll see a lot of numbers. Again, this is more detail than you need, but that's a 20 amp versus a 15 amp. That depends on the type of wire that's used, how big the wire is, and what it's designed for. The higher the amperage, the more power it's pulling. Whereas, so you'll see up here, these are 40s, because that's the range. It's pulling a lot of power. A 15 might just be a general light switch. A 20 could be a lot of outlets on one circuit. It just depends. But you'll notice that some of these are off, which is totally fine. In this house, there happens to be a room upstairs getting worked on. There's exposed electrical wires. This breaker that feeds a circuit, that feeds a room with multiple outlets, is off, so that everything is dead in there and people can work in there safely. And it's fine to have this breaker off while everything else is on. Doesn't affect anything, okay? That's the general basics of this. I just want people to know, new homeowners especially, what the panel is like and feel comfortable coming in here and doing these things. So I hope that was helpful.